So I would encourage everybody to make this as a more interactive and discussion rather than me just going on explaining and dumping facts on you. So just make sure you stop me when you don't follow or you have any questions, and we can discuss right away and then move on to the next concept. So that way, it'll be easy for you to follow the next concepts when it gets a little bit more complicated along the way. So having said that, I'll start off with the presentation. Okay, let me know when you all can see my screen.
We can see you now.
Okay, thank you. So everything that I will be presenting today is from two books, The Solar System and the written by Arthur E. Powell, and this other book, Man, Whence, Whither, and How. This book is one of the Theosophical classics. It was composed by Annie Besant and Leadbeater. And most of these books and actually this the content which I'm presenting today is not limited to these two books. I have listed all the books that are part of this topic that they address. All these are considered theosophical literature. It's like some of the classics which deal with mostly cosmogenesis. That means how the world came into being, how did what is the purpose of the existence of this world. And in a broader picture, we do know that okay, we have taken birth as human in a human bodies, and from now on it's a we progress in the spiritual path and we attain certain stages, after which we attain a certain graduate from the class, so to speak, and we become one with the almighty. But before that is general understanding of all religion. All religion fundamentally proposes the same thing, that we are not physical bodies, we are spiritual beings in the in the physical body who are on a journey towards self realization. And once we get over this ignorance that we are wrapped in, then we really reveal our true self, or get to our true identity and become one with the God. Now, now there is a lot more details to this which Theosophy postulates. For that matter of fact, the Hindu religion has always postulated this in the form of Puranas or stories, which are embedded within the Vedas and the vast corpus of literature you find in the Hindu mythology. So these are all not what do you say? They are not chronologically stated. They are for a reason hidden within a lot of Puranas, lot of literature, wherein they don't want you, they don't want the people to easily decipher it. It was like an encoded system, only with the teaching of a guru. If there is a guru who's been teaching you these things, then there is a lot of context the guru needs to add, and that's when you can follow these properly. So so what happened was when HP Blavatsky was about to start off, before even she started off with the Theosophical founding of the Theosophical Society, she was guided by the masters, and she lived in Tibet for quite a number of years, training in a Buddhist monastery under one of the enlightened masters. And with him, she learned a lot of this stuff that has been written in all these books, the books that have been listed down here. But all these have the source from one book, which is The Secret Doctrine, which Madame Blavatsky is the author of. And then in that book, she sources all the knowledge that she has been granted from this enlightened master, saying that it is only a small veil that has been lifted to the secrets of this world, or the occultism or the mysticism associated with the existence of this world. And then he also says that okay, all these things I am giving you the knowledge, but these are already present in the Hindu scriptures, and it's just that people have to unravel all these things. In the process, what she does is she gets in touch with a person called T. Subbara, who's in Chennai, in Madras back then, and he is a Hindu scholar. And she has corresponds with him for many number of years through writing letters. This was um, before 1878, 75. So it was 125, 40 years back. So what happens is most of the works that she has been learning, most of the details that she has been learning from the master, she writes it down, sends to Subbarao, and he kind of verifies or compares that with the Hindu scriptures, and he either agrees or he says, okay, this is a little bit off, and the dates are off, or the years are off, or the numbers are off. Either ways, they establish this correspondence, and post which she writes the book The Secret Doctrine, from which all these books are further based off of. Now, Secret Doctrine deals with a wide range of topics. Only one topic of that is cosmogenesis, which we are going to be focusing on today. So, the to begin with, there are two two ways I want to approach just the way that it has been presented in the book, which is quite easy to follow. The first aspect we are going to study is the field of evolution, or the planes and places of evolution. We know that we are the human beings, or the life streams are progressing in a spiritual path and are on the or on the path to become one with the supreme being in the process of self realization. But where is this happening is also important, also has a part to play with how our spiritual evolution is happening. So it's like the house. We have a house wherein we live, and our life happens within this four walls of what we call our house. So we have to know the layout of this house before we know what to do where, right? So the same way, this field of evolution gives us an good idea about where this is happening and how this field is set up, how each house has a kitchen, is like a living room, a bedroom, and each area is utilized for different purposes. Understanding this gives us a good idea of how we use about this space efficiently. The same way, understanding the field that we are in evolving in, how this world is structured, how the earth came into being, how the planets influence each other, how are they structured, and what is the order in it, kind of gives us a overall or a comprehensive view of what we are doing and how we are existing in this world. Now, before I begin off talking about that, for some of my friends who are quite new to this theosophical literature, this might be the material I'm presenting right now might be quite basic for many of the veterans here. But I just want to touch base on this quickly to establish that we are on the same page of understanding as we go further, right? So here, theosophy postulates the seven principles of man existence. That means we as a human being, we are not just a physical body. It's just more and beyond physical body. There are other levels and planes of existence, quite subtle right now. We are not able to experience it just because we don't have a very evolved bodies or dimension. In that dimension, we don't have evolved bodies, so we are not able to experience that subtle planes. But nevertheless, they still exist and they influence us, and we to some extent we can experience this in our day-to-day life when we are dreaming, or when we are sleeping, or some people go into super conscious states of awareness. Hypnosis, all these are some of the techniques or methods during which a man experiences something beyond his physical body or the physical realm. Now, to begin with, the bottommost of this, the seven principle is the physical, what we call. This is what we experience in our day-to-day life. This is our physical body, the physical world we see in, and most of these are have the Sanskrit names are quite. What do you say, appropriate. So I just kept those names here as it is being defined in the Sanskrit literature. The Stula Deha, Deha meaning the body, is the physical aspect, above which a little bit more subtler is the Kamadeha or the astral, which is part of all the emotions that we go through. And higher to that is the manas or the mental aspect, which is again subdivided into lower manas and the higher manas. Above that is the buddhi or the intuitional plane, atma, the spiritual plane, anupadik is the monadic, and adi, the first ishvara. Here, we'll not even get into adi and anupadik. I'll discuss about that later on a little bit. But right now, for all our existential purposes, we are very much using the live in the lower four planes: the stula, kama, emotions, the mental aspects, all the thoughts that we have. And buddhic is slowly starting to develop in this phase, which is more of a intuitional plane. So this is the constitution of man. Now, what we say within this plane, this is a little bit more detailed, but I'll quickly touch base because later on I'm going to be using this aspect to explain a little more of something related to the worlds. So each of these planes, the physical, is subdivided into 7 planes. That is, subdivision within the physical plane is a solid, liquid, gaseous, ether, superetheric, subatomic, and atomic. Now, not just the physical plane is subdivided into these planes or dimensions. Each of these emotion is again divided into 7 subplanes. The mental is 7, again subdivided. The same goes on to all the 7 planes. So it is 7 by 7, 49 planes, each with the 7 main planes and subdivisions of those planes. So we don't want to get into details of those things, but I just wanted to touch base on that. So now, before I begin with this, I want to like bring your attention to one how science treats the topics that we are talking about right now. Right, the late Carl Sagan, he gave a very famous statement about the cosmology of the world, like how the world came into being. As you all know, Carl Sagan is one of the famous astrophysicists. He developed the documentary or wrote the book Cosmos, in which he goes into, he explains it in a very simplistic way, where even every layman can understand it. Apart from that, he dwells into a very deeper aspect of cosmology, which no other scientist has ever done since him. He's kind of like the father of all these people. So he gave this famous statement in his book: the Hindu religion is only one of the greatest faiths dedicated to the idea that the cosmos itself undergoes an immense, indeed an infinite number of deaths and rebirths. It is the only religion in which time scales correspond to those of modern scientific cosmology. Its cycles run from our ordinary day and night to a day and night of Brahma, 8.64 billion years long, longer than the age of the Earth or the Sun, and about half the time since the Big Bang. So he kind of gives credit to this because he later on agrees that whatever the Hindu philosophers or the sages put forth, the concept of how the cosmogenesis occurs in this world is very valid point, because that's what the latest scientific observations and research has been deducing and coming to the uh, same conclusions that people had deduced thousands or hundreds and thousands of years back. So it calculates the Hindu scriptures or the Hindu philosophy calculates time in a very stupendous scale, right? Not just 1 day, 2 day, or millions of years. It goes on for billions and trillions of years. And at the same time, it says that this is not the end of it. It is a cyclic. These trillions of years that what we are calculating, it keeps cycling up, that the earth dies down, takes birth again, it dies, it takes birth again. The cosmos itself is like a cyclic chain. It is constantly, um, as they say in the modern science, it is contracting and expanding, contracting and expanding. That's exactly what the Hindu philosophy says, that the world or the Ishvara is constantly in breathing and out breathing. That's how they explained it. That means he is giving, in breathing is like, he's destroying the world, at the same time he's out breathing. That means he's giving life to the world. So as long his attention is on a particular planet, then that planet is progressing. For that matter of fact, that whole solar system they talk about is progressing. And there's not just one solar system that we know of. There are billions and billions of such solar system that he is taking care of at a same time. So he says, they say that when they talk about Ishvara, they say he is a Akila Koti Brahmandapati. That means he's crores and crores or millions and billions of solar systems are there, and he is the king of all those, and he's managing all those at the same time. So with this introduction, I just want to get into a little bit details of the field of evolution. Now, to begin with, I just want to start off simple. I'll connect the dots later on. Just go with the flow of what I'm saying right now, and we'll get into connecting the dots and making a sense of it all together later on. Now, as I said here, human body. Here you remember, human body is composed of seven principles: the physical, the astral, the mental, buddhic, atma, anupadik, and adi. Now, this constitution, the Hindu mythology, and also the secret doctrine, and for that matter, many of the occult teachings, agrees that this composition is not unique for the human beings. It's just for the human beings, but this composition or this structure is common across all things that you can see in this world. For that matter of fact, the earth itself is under the same rule. That means you see, the earth has, at any given point of time, earth has a physical body, astral bodies, higher and lower mental bodies, and we'll get to the higher planes a little bit later. But for that matter of fact, right now, what we call the earth, which has a physical body, because we are living and standing and existing on this physical earth, is a physical body of a soul. It is see, this is the earth itself is a soul, because as Indians say, is the bhumi or the earth is itself a living creature. It's not just a dead creature on which it's like, as the science says that um, there are living and non-living things, and living things are breathing and alive, and non-living things are anything that doesn't have life in it. For that matter of fact, Theosophy postulates there is nothing in this world which is not living, because Hinduism also says the same thing, that everything in this world is pervaded by that meaning the Ishvara, or his divine power, is invaded across all the things in this world, living, non-living. There's no such thing as living and non-living. They all are in different planes of existence or evolution, and we'll put connect the dots together how this all fits together. To begin with, let's start off only with the earth. Now the earth has globes. um, Now each planet has seven globes at any given point of time. Right now, in the chain that we are in, or in the round that we are in, Earth has three physical bodies, which is a globe D, which is Earth, and globe C is Mars and Mercury. And you can see that these three are the physical plane, because we can see the Mars and Mercury and the Earth, because they are physical planets. Now, the same entity, which we call the soul of this earth, has two other astral bodies called globe B and globe F. Now, this ABCD denotations are just for understanding purposes. This is not fixed names. Okay, so these are the two globes are in the astral plane, and two other globes of the same physical and of the same earth entity is having two lower mental planes. Now, all at any given point of time, evolution will be happening on only one of these globes. Right now, we can see that the evolution is happening of the on the Earth globe, which is globe D, and before that, it was on the Mars, and after this, it will come to Mercury. We'll get to that a little bit later. So, for simple understanding, Any planet has 7 globes at a given point of time, and how these physical entities are defined, we'll get into that now. Okay, what you can see here is, as I said, the evolution takes place like we are on the spiritual path, we are evolving spiritually to get into being one with the God, right? So that we understand. That is not unique again just for us. The whole earth itself is undergoing the same change. You can see that to begin off with, the earth started with 2 globes of at the atmic plane, then came to 2 globes of the buddhic plane, and then the two of the higher manas, and slowly it descended into one lower manas. In the next chain, it descended a little bit lower, wherein globe D, instead of the lower manas, descended into the astral plane. And here in the third chain, the globe D descended one level below into the physical plane. And in the chain 4, you can see this is where we are in right now. Did somebody ask a question? I hear some. Okay, I'll continue. So in the this is the fourth chain is where we are in, wherein you can see the earth has three, it descended a little bit lower into the physical plane, wherein it has a maximum number of physical entities, that is Mars, Mercury, and Earth. And in the third chain, Moon was a physical body. And the same thing happens once the 7 cycles repeat. This serpentary chain is very important because 7 is a very unique or very what do you say, special number, let's say, because the 7 is something which keeps on repeating the cycles of 7, the 7 bodies, the 7 principles, the seven rounds, 7 globes, 7 chains, 7 schemes of evolution. Everything comes in 7 in this world. We don't know why. Blavatsky says she doesn't know why, because that's how it has been structured, that's how it was designed by the logos or Ishvara, that's how he designed wanted it to be. And so that's why 7 is a very significant number in occultism, because everything we see comes in the multiples of 7. Now, each chain may be regarded as upadhi or vehicle of the planetary logos. The Hindu scriptures called these chains as the upadhis, or the vehicle in which the planetary logos is nothing but God. It's I think it's a Greek word. So the god, the planetary god, or the bhumi, or like the earth god, is evolving using these physical bodies. And it, as you can see, there is a descent from the higher planes all the way to the down to the physical plane. From here it ascends up back into its being, or going into back its into its creator. Or this is not just for the human beings. We can see that the same thing is happening with the earth itself. Now, what is the earth and other planets are known as globes. And okay, I covered that. The Hindu Puranas recognize the globes as dvipas, the earth being called the Jambu Dvipa. So here, what we call the physical earth is named in
Vidya,
the. Yes,
Vidya. Yeah, this is Anne. I want to ask a question. You were
sure.
saying that the earth evolves just like we evolve, and that
Hmm.
the logos would be like earth gods. So
Yeah.
does that mean that we are, would you call us like human gods?
Um, us?
If,
No,
if
actually,
those were the earth gods, then what would we, if you would call us something using that analogy?
okay. We are also gods or monads. We call it. We call not actually. The god is one supreme being. Whatever we see here as the Adi, right? This is a supreme being. Once it descends into the Anupadic state, we call it as a address it as a monad. Because it is an essence of this supreme being which is experiencing life in all these planes. And at the same time, he's himself, like, having pervaded this whole earth by himself, like he has a part of him within the world, and he's also existing without the world. So he's an entity who's independent of this world. But the part of him experiencing this world is called a monad. Now, the same part of him is experiencing the world as the earth, and the same part of him is experiencing this world as you and me. Okay, so the field of evolution and the life streams within that evolution, everything is again ultimately him. So we can still say that we all are the monads, which are exist came from the same source. Well, the other way of defining is, say, for example, I can take two fingers in my hand. They are connected to my hand, but if I dip one finger in the cold water and one finger in the hot water, I'll at the same time I'll be experiencing both hot and cold, even though there are two different fingers experiencing two different environments, but the experiencer is still me because a hand is mine and they are connected to the same sensory being. So that way it is a different expression of the same monadic principle. Did I make myself clear?
So we just call ourselves, so we just name it different. It
Yeah,
has to do with the naming of it.
yeah, kind of.
I mean, yeah, I
but
understand.
but I'll tell you one more thing. When I don't want to call here the human logos, because the logos is a word which has a more significant meaning. I'll come to that a little bit later. So for all understanding purposes, this is again it's a planetary being which is experiencing the being a planet on behalf of the supreme being. I can put it that way. So So continuing on this, um, in the Hindu Puranas, this earth, the physical earth D, was called as Jambudvipa. Even today, before we do any pujas or any ceremony, we invoke the gods, and we always invoke a chanting in which first we say, give our address to God. We are the entities from Jambudvipa. That means this is our earth that we are living in, has been given that name. And there is seven other names for all the other globes, or which is called the dvipas in Sanskrit, which I have those names, but I have a little bit of not clear understanding on that. Little bit confusion, so I don't want to dwell into give you wrong information, so I'll just not touch on that. But for sure all the other globes do have the names in Sanskrit too. Now now life streams evolve across all these globes in a particular pattern. Say it starts from globe A, then you can see the live stream is entering here into globe A. After a certain period of time experiencing life on globe A, then it moves to globe B, then it moves to globe C, globe D, E, F, and G. Once it completes this one cycle, which is a 7 globe periods, that means the period in which the life experiences or life is incarnating on the globe, on particular globe, is called a globe period. So this 7 globe periods will make one round of it. So even when, let's say for example, here you saw that the earth has two lower mental planes. Now you might ask, if it is a lower mental plane, how is a physical body existing in there? No, it doesn't. When the earth or the field itself is a lower mental plane, we as human beings will experience that plane in our lower mental bodies. Whether how much ever it is developed, it is what we are going to experiencing. If we are highly developed, then we can make use of this period to evolve ourselves. If we don't have a very highly developed lower mental plane, not much is happening, we are just in a very rudimentary sleepy state. The same thing here. When we come to the astral plane or the globe B, which is in the astral world, we will experience the world in our astral bodies, because it is synonymous to the field in which we will be evolving. Then we come to the physical world. That's where we will get a physical body. The same thing, when we come to the earth, we get a physical body because that's the plane we are in. Now, when we do this one round around all the 7 globes, which consist of the 7 globe periods, we call this as a one round. Now, each globe period will consist of 7 root races. Let's not touch on that. I'll come to that a little bit later. But for current understanding purposes, live streams going through one particular globe, and that period is called a globe period, and 7 globe periods will constitute one round. At any given time, only one globe is active and fully functional, the other 6 being in dormant condition. The period during which a globe is fully active, supporting the mainstream of life is called a globe period. Each globe period lasts for an eon, a billion years. Or this, don't stick hard to this numbers, because these numbers are quite changing from one book to the other, and there's a little bit discrepancies here from what Blavatsky says and what Annie Besant deciphers it. So let's not get into the details of the numbers, but understand this globe period lasts for a very, very long time. The passage of cycles around life of cycles around all globes is known as rounds. Thus, a round consists of 7 globe periods or world periods. After completion of one round, globes A to G, the whole process begins again with reawakening of the life on globe A and continues the process until globe G. This whole process is repeated 7 times. Now see here, this is the first round going through all the 7 globe periods, come back here, and then starts the second round, which is a blue circle. Then comes the third round, and the fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh round. When we complete the seventh round, we are done with this and we move on to the next phase. So now this 7 rounds across this globe is called a chain. First, we have 7 globes. Going around the 7 globes one time is called a round. Going 7 rounds is called a one chain. Any doubts here? You want me to repeat that? Anybody? Okay. A chain consists of 7 globes. The 7 globes of a chain, each of which has 7 periods of activity. So the 49 globe periods make up one chain period. That means seven globes taking up 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49 globe periods make up one chain. At the completion of the chain period, the globe disintegrates and the matter which composed them is reformed to make new globes. Now, this is what I was speaking of here. See, what happened was there is the life went through this phase when Earth had 2 Atmic globes, 2 Buddhic, 2 higher manas, and 1 lower manas. Life went around 7 circles of this. Okay, 7 circles of this. When it was finished, the one chain was complete. Okay, one chain was complete, and all the life living in here was packaged and sent into intermediate phase between these 2 chains called the interchain nirvanic phase. I'll come to that later a little bit. Just remember remember that we were shipped off and somewhere floating around here in between. In the process, what happened was all these globes kind of mashed up together. That means, say for example, you take a Play-Doh, make 7 balls. After some time, you mash them up, and then you make 7 balls again. That's exactly what happened. So all the materials which consisted of these 7 globes got mashed up, and when they were reconstructed with 2 Buddhic planes, 2 higher manas, 2 lower manas, and you see how the descent happens into the one astral plane. Now here, like now, whatever life streams was hanging around in the space, they came incarnated here. They went around these globes how many times? 7 times again. That was the second chain. Okay. Now once the 7 rounds were completed, whatever beings were evolved or moved on, but whoever were laggards who didn't evolve, they went into the interchain nirvanic plane again, holding in the space. And in the meantime, these globes or the entities or the material which compose these globes were again smashed up and again remade into new globes, which make the moon chain. Now we call this the moon chain because moon was a physical entity or the first physical body of this scheme that we are talking about. So that's why we call it as a moon chain. The moon, what we see today, is a remnant of this chain. Now, as I said, after the 7 rounds were completed in this chain, All the people and life streams should have moved away to the space, and all these material should have again been smashed up, and with that material these 7 globes should have been created. But but there is a little bit exception here, that the moon what we see today, the moon which is revolving around the earth, that moon is a physical remnant of chain 3. Now this is called chain 1, chain 2, chain 3. It is called a moon chain. Physical remnant being that it is just the core is remaining, whatever it was much bigger before when it was actually having human beings evolve on it. It was a much bigger planet just like earth, but right now it is very small, just the core of it is remaining, and it will it is in the process of disintegrating. And we started life on the earth, which for which it has become a satellite. And by the time we go to the next round, this moon will be completely disintegrated and dissolved. And after almost at the end of all this completion of the earth chain, right now we are here, we have not yet started this journey. In this earth round we have gone 4 rounds. Now I'll come to that here. So this is a representation of the life streams from the moon chain. So from the moon chain, we were all packaged up when the time was up after the 7 rounds. We had not yet evolved. We were still in the process. And then we went into a state of suspension. And then when the earth chain, these planets were created from the remnants of this one, then we started inhabiting here. Now, how did we come about here? We'll study in a little bit of detail. So the life stream from the moon chain comes to the first globe, and in the first globe we can see that the seven root races need to take place, or the let's assume the globe period is 7 root races consist of one globe period, right? So after we are done with here, we go to globe B, then C, D, E, F, and G. Then we completed 1 round. Likewise, we have completed 3 rounds, and we are halfway. The pink line you can see here, I have highlighted that with a different color. This is the round that we are in, the 4th round. We are going round these globes 4th time. Right now we have come here in the midpoint. We are in the 4th round, and each globe period consists of 4 root races. So that means 1, 2, 3 have been already done. 4 and 5 is what we are in current now, and 6 and 7 is coming up in the near future. Once these two root races are done, then we will move on to Mercury to continue the 4th round. After this 4th round is completed, after we reach to globe G, then we continue with the 5th round, and then we come to the 6th round and the 7th round. Once this is done, we exit out of this chain. That means we are jumping out of here. This chain is done. We're gonna go into a state of suspension, and then we will and wait for these globes to be formed from the material of this previous chain. And once this is established, we'll come back here and resume our spiritual journey here. Hopefully not. That is what we are expected, is we should get liberated, or we should reach our goal before we complete this 5th, 6th, and 7th round. The target for us, or what the masters have set the expectation for us, is that we should already be done with our spiritual progress, and we should be gone into a what do you say, the uh, sorry, I forgot the word, in the nirvanic state, or wherein we don't have to take reincarnation again, right? So that's the goal. But in case we don't make much progress by the end of 4th round, we are not there yet, then we will definitely be pushed on to the next globe to make a to continue our journey. If we keep on failing here onwards, we will just be moving forward and forward. In case we are the worst of the worst case, we don't make any progress after the 5th, 6th, and 7th chain, then we will have to wait for the next scheme of evolution to come into place, which is billions and billions and billions of years later. we have to still continue our journey. There is no escape from it, right? So this is a little bit different representation of the same concept. Here we have chain one, then in between the chain you can see here there is a pralaya. Pralaya meaning the which is literally a flooding of the universe, sorry, flooding of the planet. So this pralaya or flooding is a very common concept across all religions, right? Even the Christian, Islamic, or any Jews, and any for that matter of fact the Noah's Ark story, or even in Hindu Puranas, there's many stories wherein the world was flooded and few of them were saved by the Manu and they were taken on to a promised land, and that's where they started off their life again. So all these stories and mythological narrations have a solid basis in the occult truth which is hidden, or the truth which is part of our cosmogenetic process that is happening. Now, one aspect you have to observe here is how the monad. Okay, now let me touch base on that a little bit later. Let me finish this one. So these, the chain 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, including the 6 pralayas which happens in between, they constitute what we call the 7 chains constitute together. They are called the Earth scheme of evolution. Okay, the Earth scheme of evolution consists of 7 chains. The 7 chains in which we are cyclic, or we are rotating across 7 rounds in each of them. 7 rounds, 7 rounds, 7, 7, 7. And then 7 times of that, that means 7 chains of these constitute a scheme of evolution. So let's summarize here. So the 7 globes will the 7 globe periods will make one round. 7 rounds will make one chain. 7 chain periods will make one scheme of evolution. Now within our solar system we know of 10 such schemes of evolution happening simultaneously. What are the 10 scheme of evolution? The first one is the Vulcan scheme, the Venus scheme. Now again, note here the naming of this is based on the physical planet which is appearing in that scheme. Okay, the Venus scheme, Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. The last 3 we do not know the names at present. So the representation would be like this, right? So the first one is a Vulcan scheme, the second is a Venus, and now the solar logos are the sun, who's the sun god. He is the master of all these schemes of evolution. That means he is the Adipati. That means he is the king of all these schemes of evolution, and he all there are in turn there are smaller gods or planetary logi which is in charge of each of these departments, like he has 7 ministers who take care of each of these schemes of evolution. Under them there are many other people who take care of it. Either ways, for all understanding purposes, so he is the master, or he is the king of all these schemes of evolution that is happening. As you can see, we are the fourth chain, which is the third scheme of evolution, and we are in the fourth chain in the fourth round of here. Okay, that was too much information. Do you want me to stop and recapitulate, or everybody good?
Vidya, I see that Raji actually raised a hand, and
Oh, sorry. Yes, Raji, go ahead. How do I?
He's probably muted. He doesn't know.
Okay, who raised the hand? I...
It's me, Vidya.
Hey, hi, Raji. Yeah, go
Hi.
ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. So
Sure.
the next, now we are in fourth chain, right? So
Yes.
once we move into fifth chain,
Mm-hmm.
again the life starts. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's from higher manas state, right?
Okay, it depends. It depends upon where we have left off on this chain. Okay, say for example, among this 7 rounds that, okay, let me go here. Okay, say now a person has failed in the third round of the of this chain. then he will incarnate in the third round of the fifth chain.
Okay.
Okay. So if he has failed in the fourth chain of the earth, fourth round of the fourth chain, then he will incarnate in the fourth round of the fifth chain, wherever he's dropped off. Say, for example, you are studying in a university and you left in between, you moved to a new university, new city, new university. Now if you were in the second year of your college, when you go to the new university, you will be enrolled into a second year of college itself, like if you can transfer the credits, right? The same way, where if you were in the third year of your college, then you will be enrolled into a third year of the college. So that's how it happens.
Okay. So we don't have to start our life from
No, you
19
don't have to start from scratch. No.
Okay.
Actually, the people who fail off like that and will be moved there, they will have to wait until the entities there get to your state of development, what you are in, because right now your buddhi and manas aspects are already developed, right? So until the buddhi and manas aspects develop in the fifth chain, you will not be it will not be beneficial for you to go incarnate there. It will be a waste of time for you, so you will have to wait until the entities over there come to this level of development, and that's when you can get in there. Okay.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
uh, so we have right now 10 such schemes that we know of happening simultaneously in our solar system. Although the scheme of evolution contains 49 total globes, only 7 of them are usually existence in at any given time. One of the few exception is the moon, which belonged to the third chain of the current scheme of evolution. Moon was a physical planet of the third chain, just as Earth is of the fourth chain. The Venus is currently the most advanced in the seventh round. So you can see the Venus scheme here, which is in the fifth chain, seventh round. So they are almost 7 plus 2, 9 rounds ahead of us, because they had in the very next chain, which is the fifth chain, and also on the end of the fifth chain. So Venus has the most advanced entities right now. And of course, they are not in the physical plane. They are their globes are in the astral level. So that's why, if you ask me why don't I see people walking around on the Venus, then yeah, that's the reason. Okay, any doubts until now? I don't mind repeating before we proceed. Anybody, any doubts or any clarifications you need, please? Uh,
Vidya,
it's better you
one doubt,
speak up.
Vidya.
Ah, Aparna, right?
Prasanna.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So you said that when we move on, like if you are not in the state, so the entities have to wait till they reach your state. That's what you said, right? When Raji asked the question.
No. The entities in the new chain will have to
Uh-huh.
develop to your state before you can enter there.
Okay. So then where will we be? I mean, like, will we
Mm,
be hanging in between?
yeah, that's a good question. There is a place or a state called internirvanic phase. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Internirvanic phase is wherein, or interchain nirvana, it is called. So
Okay.
in between here, say for example, you dropped out of here, you didn't pass out, and in between there is this pralaya happening, and then before the fifth chain can develop, there is okay, one thing you have to understand is whatever time period it takes for the globe period to happen, the same amount of time there will be a pralaya. So these are equal number of periods. Now say this globe period to complete the 7 rounds, this chain took about 20 billion years. Then there will be 20 billion years of pralaya, and then
Oh,
the thing will start developing here. In between this, when there is 20 billion years, and 20 billion is not the exact number, I'm just using that as an example. For that 20 billion years, you will be suspended in a interchain nirvanic phase. That means it is like a sleepy dreamy state that you will have to be your soul has to wait for its journey to be completed, because there is no way. See, the hard and fast rule is you cannot evolve spiritually as much as you can make progress in your other planes. The spiritual progress or the graduation process should take only in the physical plane. You have to reach that spiritual goal or target set for you only in the physical plane. So until you get another physical plane to establish yourself and continue your progress, you'll have to wait either ways. Okay, so that's where all these people who are failed from chain 4, and they fail at different stages. Not everybody fails at the same stage. They fail. Some people fail at the first round, second round, third round, fourth round, and they are batched up accordingly. And not just first round, second round, third round. Within the first round, second root race, third round, fourth root race, like that. They are given a numbers or tags. There's a funny process, I'll talk about it later, because there is a whole master or a manu who takes care of this process. Now this whole chain process has one master or a king or a manu who is in charge of this evolutionary process. And when he is done with this planet evolution, and he reaches the target reached, he most of the people reach the target that has been set. But there are some people who don't put effort and who are just wasting their lives and doing a lot of karmas and stuck in the cycle of karmic bonds, and they don't make enough progress. What happens is they are called as the laggards or the failures of the chain. And this manu hands over all these failed entities to a seed manu. Seed manu is the leader of the next in between the chains. The seed manu is responsible for all these souls. He literally, they say that they pack them away in like a, you file a cabinet. Okay, all blue files in one cabinet, all red in one file, or yellow, brown, like that. How you file a cabinet, file the files in a cabinet. That's how they file all these souls away. And now they say the first line, first chain, all the blue souls are released. So the seed manu delivers to the manu of the fifth chain. The manu of the fifth chain will ask the seed manu, okay, the blue chain people, the blue file people can come out now. So then the seed manu will release the blue people into the chain. Now there's a, above that blue people were the red people who failed in a later state. Then he'll say, okay, give me all the red people. So all the red people will go then. So it literally, we are filed off in a cabinet and released according to the states that we failed in. Clear? Okay.
Okay, Vidya. So that means, like, let's say, like the example you gave earlier, like you are in the second year of the university, and then some are in the first year or third year and fourth year. So if you are in third year, so the first year people are released first, so they can develop, and then you go and join them.
Yes,
okay,
that's right. That's right.
Okay.
If the people have failed in first year, they need extra time to catch up with you, right? So they are released first. So they go through the first round and they learn their lessons. Maybe they will not. And they go through the second round. Maybe they'll learn their lessons, maybe not. And by the third round comes, then you are ready to go in there. Because by that time, you say, for example, you are already advanced with your manas and buddhi aspects. And then you are put in a primitive caveman like people who are just hunters and gatherers. They don't have their mental concepts developed. The body is like the old what do you call them, the the old pygmy man, the old mm, people we used to see with a tall stature or a smaller one with a bent back, and then the physical form is not yet evolved. They are not going to put you there because you are already evolved. They will wait until that chain comes to the level wherein entities around you are supporting your growth. Okay, so that's when you will be released.
Okay, thanks, Vidya.
Okay, good question.
Vidya,
Yes.
with all these chains going on, what does our literature say respect to UFOs?
Actually, in this book, it has not been touched based on UFOs, Jean. But related to this topic, I read in some other book that some of the entities who take care of this planet, right, the chain and the logos and planetary chain logos and the solar logos, sometimes some of the special forces which come down upon the earth might be visible as UFOs. Now, this is just my understanding. Don't take my word for it. I might be completely wrong. It is just my understanding. I'm sharing just because you asked the question, and I'm not. It's not from the book or the author or anybody.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Now that we have focused so much on the field of evolution meaning how the earth is going through the cycles and how that is a constant process happening and how the schemes are set up, how the chain is, how the round and the globes are. We know the structure of it, right? Now let's understand how the life on it takes the same side kinds of cycle. Now we can here, before we get into that, this is how we are structured, like the holy trinity or the trimurti, what we call is the Brahma, Vishnu and Maheshwara. So Hindu mythology says that Brahma is the creator of the world, and he is a third aspect of the logos or the Ishvara. So there are two major outpourings or descent of the ultimate being, the Ishvara or the Adi, the one, happens in two two steps. That means in the first step he descends himself. Now what is Adi or Ishvara or the supreme logos? He's nobody knows what he is. For that matter of fact, nobody in Hindu scriptures, they just say, they don't even give him a name. Actually, they say that being, that is what he is. We don't know whether he's man or women or male or female or is that or this. They don't know anything about him because nobody has ever been so close to him that he can be studied or understood, which is physically not possible. So one of the examples they give is like a fish in water cannot experience, if like I had given this example earlier in the satsang class too. Like say for example, you jump into water and you somehow magically start talking to a fish. Now you explain to the fish that, hey, you know what, there is a world outside and there is mountains and there is light, sunlight, fire and all the things. And the fish says, what, there is a fire, something burning? Now get me the fire, let me see. Now you as a person going down, you can never get the fire into the water and show the fish that this is the fire, right? Because there that just not does not work. It's a totally different dimension that we are talking about. Now our rishis and sages give the same example. They say that the dimension in which the Shiva or Ishvara or all these logos for that matter of fact live is a dimension that we cannot go with our mind and intelligence and experience that and come back. There is no way, because it's a totally different dimension. Once you go there, or to go there, you have to lose this. You have to lose this, and only that monad which is within you can only make that journey. Once it goes, there is no coming back and experiencing and telling anybody what there is or what that Shiva is, how big he is, how many hands he has, how many heads he has. No, that's not going to ever happen. But one thing they say is, they say for sure this this supreme being or this aspect has three qualities. That's what they say. The quality one is has an intelligence. Okay, he has an intelligence, and the second aspect is he has shakti. Shakti meaning he is the he has a power. One thing is he has intelligence, and the second thing is power, half and half. Now there might be intelligence and power, that's why Ishvara in Hindu scriptures, he's defined as Ardhanarishwara. That means half man, half woman, in equal proportion. The woman aspect is the Shakti, and the man aspect is the um, intelligence. Now this power and Shakti, intelligence and Shakti can do anything until there comes a third aspect, which is called the Iche or the will. Now, when this will or the Iche to create, to experience rises within this logos or within the Shiva, then the creation happens. That is the Rudra Tandava. Tandava meaning that the process of creation happens. That means he gets into this into this dance of creation. Okay. During that process, what happens? He descends himself, a part of himself descends as a first outpouring. Sorry, the second outpour. First outpouring comes the second aspect, which is called the Vishnu. And the second outpouring comes the third aspect, Brahma. That means he part of him becomes Vishnu and part of him becomes Brahma. And these three together, one thing you have to understand is even after he becomes Vishnu and Brahma, there always remains himself there. He's always there even after he becomes both three, becomes two, that is Vishnu and Brahma. Now, what is this? The second aspect doing is the second aspect of the Vishnu. From this second aspect, there comes a outpouring again. He emerges as a life streams. Life streams meaning we all the life human beings that you are seeing right now come from the second aspect or the Vishnu. The Brahma emerges the plane of evolution or the Brahmanda. Brahma is the creator of the Brahmanda or the plane of evolution. All the things that we discussed right now, the setting up of the earth, setting up of the sun, setting up the chains and the logos and planning, all these things is the creation of the Brahma. He creates the space and then Vishnu sends the life streams in which in this Brahmanda which the Brahma has created, this life emerges or evolves. Okay, and this evolution, okay, the building of the solar system, let me, okay, so the life streams which come out here, the live stream which emerges, we touch based on how the Brahma works, like setting up the earth and the chains and lower globes and everything, right? Now coming to how the Vishnu works, the the aspect of Vishnu or the outpouring of from him or the energies which come from him descends, just like we talked about how the earth comes from having higher mental bodies, buddhic bodies, comes down all the way where it has three physical earths, physical bodies, and then starts ascending up, right? It's coming down and going up. The same thing happens with the human entities or the life streams too. When it emerges from Vishnu, it falls down or comes down as the first elemental kingdom. And then from the first elemental kingdom, it drops down again, comes the second elemental. From there, it drops down, comes to the third elemental. From there, it comes to the mineral. Mineral meaning whatever the crystals, the all the minerals that we see in the world are a descent of the logos or the monad from the third elemental kingdom into the mineral kingdom. Now what happens in this mineral kingdom is there is a U-turn happens all until it comes to the mineral kingdom, it is falling down, like the life emerges from Vishnu, comes down to first, second, third, it is coming down, down, down. When it comes to the mineral, it comes all the way down. Now from the vegetable kingdom, it from the mineral kingdom emerges a vegetable kingdom wherein the consciousness is now rising up, up, and up. The consciousness is coming down in the first three, making a U-turn at the mineral kingdom, and consciousness raises up in the vegetable, animal, and human kingdom. Okay, so anybody clear with this, or anybody want me to repeat on this one? This is a very important understanding because I'm going to build a lot more concept based on this one going forward. Okay, now the first three of the several kingdoms element are on the downward arc of evolution. The life in them is plunging deeper and deeper into matter. The mineral kingdom represents the turning point where the life reaches the lowest point of its descent into matter and commences to ascend again through the planes. The vegetable, animal, and human kingdom are definitely occupied in the steady raising through the planes or the upward arc of evolution. Now, let's go back here. Let's take one step back. I want to talk briefly on how the solar system is built upon. Um, okay. Now, before our solar system came into existence, there existed an ultimate root matter, what the scientists call the uh, ether of space, or coil, Quilon, or um, I'm not sure how this is pronounced. For now, I'll stick Quilon. The space occupied by this Quilon appears to be empty to the physical sense, but it is far denser than anything we can conceive of. Professor Osborne Reynolds, the originator of the celebrated theory, agrees with the occult investigations. Now, by the way, this Professor Osborne Reynolds, he's a scientific investigator, defines its density as being 10,000 times greater than that of water and its pressure as 750,000 tons to the square inch. Now, this Kilian matter is defined in the Hindu scriptures as Mula Prakriti, or the root matter. Now, what is this Mula Prakriti is? It is the matter which has descended, or which has a very high density, as you can see, it's 10,000 times greater, and the pressure is 750,000 tons to square inch. It has a lot of pressure, and it is spread all around, all everywhere in the universe. There is no planets, no stars, nothing to begin with, right? So this is a matter that fills the space. Now, at the beginning of time, this substance, Kilion, filled all the space. The foreheart, or the supreme force, the Shakti. Now, I talked about how the Trinity has three aspects, which is the intelligence, the Shakti, which is a power, and then the will. Now, when there is a will, when the will pops up to create the world, then the Shakti aspect is used, and the Shakti aspect, which is called the foreheart, changes the condition of rest by pouring in spirit into the chelion and forming incalculable number of tiny spherical bubbles, the ultimate atoms out of which everything we call matter is manufactured. Now, these chelions are used, and the Shakti, or the energy, is poured into these matter, and then you can create the ultimate atom from which all other atoms are generated. The solar logos will form the 7 planes of our system using these bubbles by sending forth 7 impulses or breath through the third aspect of the Trinity. The third aspect of the Trinity is the Brahma. Now, how this happens is, now the Adi, or the Shiva, is just one. There is no second to him. There's one and one atom. That's it. One aspect. When he descends down to the next level, Anupadik, there is 49 bubbles are formed from the chelion. Okay, the 49 bubbles are formed from the chelion, and the Anupadik plane has 49 of these spherical bubbles. Now, when it descends again, you can see all these are multiples of 7 here again. Atma has 49 to the power of 2 is 2401 bubbles. Now you can see that these are descending. As it is descending, the number of atoms are increasing. By the time it comes to Stula, it is somewhere in the round of 13 billion. Okay. So this is how the building of the solar system happens. Now the same concept is very interestingly explained in the Hindu method. According to Hindu scripture, each plane has what it is called the tanmatra, literally a measure of that, and tattva, literally thatness or inherent quality. Tattva here means that, or the power. As I said, that always means Shiva. That means there is no name for him, so he is called that object, or that intelligence, or that supreme being. Okay, he is there in every atom. Okay, and the power, or the tanmantra, or the consciousness, modification in the consciousness of logos, is called the tanmantra, or the ichche, the will to express himself, which creates in that, is called the tanmatra. Tattva is the effect produced in the matter by that modification. from that will. Somebody asking a question, or was that a mic which came off on mute? Okay. Now, every atom has thatness, the divine being, the measure of the vibration of the atom imposed upon it by the will of the logos is the tanmantra, the measure of that. Okay. Thus, the consciousness of the logos is within each atom, expressed within certain limitation, which we sometimes call the planes. So the consciousness of the logos is everywhere, pervading in you, me, everything that you see around, air, gas, solid, liquid, anything. It the consciousness is pervading, or thatness, or the tattva is everywhere the same, but how much of it is being expressed is by limited by its consciousness, by the plane in which it is being expressed. Like in the physical plane, we almost forget that we are divine beings, we almost think that we are the personality and we are invincible, and we act like we can know God who has created us. So that is the personality part of us, right? So but they say that whatever we are is not expressed properly because we have a cloud of ignorance and the personality is overtaking or hiding that supreme power within us. Okay, this is a kind of little bit abstract, but it is worth visiting. Okay, now we touch based upon how the life stream is comes down the arc of evolution, makes a turning point, and goes up through the vegetable, animal, and human kingdom. Now let's study specifically how that happens. Before I get here, I want to go back to probably this slide. Yes. Now you can see for the whole period of a chain, like say for example, we all are humans right now. As we saw how the life descends from Vishnu, first we all emerged from him and came down to the first elemental kingdom. From there, we came down as a second elemental, third elemental. Then we came to mineral, and then we took the form as a vegetable, animal, and finally we came to the human consciousness. So that's exactly what it is depicted here. When our current Earth scheme, that means the Earth chain, started, the first chain in the first chain of the scheme of the earth, we were all as minerals. Okay, we started off our journey as minerals. And where were we before this? For the first elemental, second elemental, and third elemental, we do not know. It might have been a different scheme of evolution, different solar system. Nobody knows where we came or where we did our first three elemental kingdoms. But all we know is when we came to the first chain of the earth scheme, then we were found as minerals. We did the 7 rounds here as minerals in first chain, and then we came to the second chain. When we came to the second chain, the consciousness evolved a little bit and we became vegetables or the plants. Now, being plants, we completed 7 rounds here again on the second chain. And after this point, we jumped to the third chain. And when we came to the third chain or the moon chain, we were animals. So currently the moon, what we see when it's full form, when it had the full physical body of itself, not just the core what we see right now, when it had a full body, we were definitely animals in that planet. So we completed 7 rounds here as animals. And here we got into the part of individualization. Now, this individualization is a very important concept in Theosophy brings forward, wherein when we are animals, we have group souls. Not in the higher animals like mammals, but when we are in the lower streams of planet of animal life. Say for example, we are fish. Okay, you, there will be like 1,000 fish will share one soul. Okay, or there will be 1,000 molluscans or 1,000 prawns or 1,000 insects, 1,000 ants, or not 1,000, it's just a number. Can there can be 10 or 20 or 10,000, 1 million, doesn't matter. But what I'm trying to say, the concept is we are not individual entities. Just I gave the example earlier, we have one soul, but we have have different bodies, like we have different fingers in our hands. Just like you can put your finger in hot, cold, or smooth texture and a hard texture, or hot and very hot, cold and very cold. You can put 5 fingers in 5 different temperatures and you can experience the same thing. Just like that, we were probably 10 ants experiencing 10 bodies, but the soul was only one, which is not the case when it is goes up to the higher mammals. In the mammals, they are almost individual souls. That means one body has one soul. But definitely by the time we completed our moon chain and we were ready to become humans, what happens is there is a process of individualization or a divine will to to pull the consciousness down, or pull the consciousness into one body. That is called the individualization. So that when that process happens, we come from the animal body or animal form into the human form. That's what happened when we completed the moon chain, and we all individualized there at different parts of it, like we were all animals, and by that a divine force, or the pulling down of that divine force or the shakti, then we individualized and we took a human birth. That's why many of the saints in India always say that the human life is one of the most sacred of lives, because you have to go through crores and crores of lives before you get a human body and human form. So use this body and you form to do some good things. There is a, I think it's a Das Ravani. He says that you have gone through so much, you have done all these things, and you have been gifted a human body. Use the senses and the highly evolved body, mind, and brain. Put that to some good use. Is a song that I can remember. So that's how we became humans in the chain here in the fourth chain. Now, once we become humans, there is no going back. Like if we fail as humans, we will be keep on borning as humans forever again. There's no going back here. Now, the same thing I depicted here in a little bit different way. Now there is an interchain pralaya. So there is a pralaya, and then we start off with chain one. Now, when we came with the chain one, now say we are in chain four now, going by that fact, if we are humans in chain four, then we definitely have to be animals in chain three, vegetables in chain two, and minerals. Now, this is how the progression happens. Now, are we the only entities evolving like this? No, definitely not. Along with us, we have the vegetable kingdom, animal kingdom, humans. Like say for example, let's take the our chain, which is the fourth chain. So we have humans. Along with us, we have animals too. We have vegetables, we have minerals. Along it, in that we have elementals 1, 2, and 3. Of course, these are in subtler state. We don't see them, but they do still exist. Now, what happens after this fourth chain? Either we spiritually get enlightened and we are thrown out of this cycle of birth and death, or no more need to reincarnate because we achieved our goal, then you exit out. But in case you don't exit out, you jump to the parallel chain, that is the fifth chain. Now what happens here? Who's coming now? Check who's coming here as humans. The animals of today, like all your pet dogs and pets you have today, in the fifth chain they will turn into humans. Now you have to wait for these animals to evolve to the state that we are today, to develop their bodies, to develop their mental aspects, to develop their manas aspect, to develop their desire, manas, and buddhi. And until that point you have to wait and for you to get in there. Now, who will become the animals if all the animals are becoming humans in the next chain? Who becomes the animals? The vegetables become the animals. And then who becomes the vegetables? Minerals will ascend into the vegetables. And the third elemental will move to the mineral, second will move to the third, first will move to the second. Now you can see this chain. Now, okay, here interesting thing happens, right? When the first elemental kingdom becomes the second elemental kingdom, then you might think the first one is empty here. No, the new stream of life comes from Vishnu. This is a cycle that the rishis and munis were talking about. There is a continuous stream of his divine essence coming down and also going back to him. After we enlighten and we are going back here, and there is new beings coming here. So this cycle continues and continues and continues. There is no beginning and there is no end. Nobody knows if there is one. And for that matter of fact, they say that the cycle is never ending. To how much ever with the clairvoyance they see backwards or front, like into the back or into the future, they see that this is a constant non-stop cycle. So now the whatever Carl Sagan made the statement makes more sense, because the the cosmos itself is going through the cyclic process of evolution. There is no end to it. So you can see that in our Earth scheme, only the entities which came as elemental 1 will complete the complete cycle. That means they go from 1 to 2, 3 to mineral, vegetable, uh, animal, and human in the 7th chain. But the rest entities which fall above and below this central line, they all either go to the next scheme of evolution, or like we did, we came from a different scheme of evolution. That's what is represented here, except for the except for the center line. Either they will, after the animal phase here, will go to another succeeding scheme of evolution has to become humans. The same here, they go on. And likewise, we came from a preceding scheme, completing our third element. That means we were somewhere here in the previous scheme, and when we jumped here, we came as minerals. Now, any doubts here? It doesn't have to be doubts. Anybody wants to add points and that I might have missed, or
Vidya,
whatever.
one doubt, Vidya.
Yeah.
So you said that, I mean, like in the course of time, or so you said like the animals, like our
Mhm.
pet dogs, you said they'll take up human form, right?
Yeah.
So, so if we in the human form are not yet evolved by the time they take human form,
Mhm.
will we be joining them?
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
And if we are evolved, where will we go?
You don't have to be in the, okay, that's a good question. There are many paths you can choose. Once you are evolved and reach a certain state of evolution, you are given a choice to stay back and take up the like a minister job to take care of the beings back in here, or you can go on and help create another scheme of evolutions, because they always need evolved people to take create another scheme of evolutions. Either you can volunteer for that job, or you can continue your journey and become one with the monad. So there are many paths that you can take, or you can stay back and help all your friends until we get there, Prasanna.
Mhm. Or you even have the choice where you can choose for no birth again and go become one with the consciousness.
Yes,
Do we have that? Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now I get a little bit deeper in here. As I said, let me go back to the first here. So I mentioned here we have 7 root races happening within a globe period. Now we'll come to the nitty-bitty details of what happens within a globe period. Okay, so to complete one globe period, right? It takes a lot of time. Within that time, it's not like a haphazard process happening. It is again very much structured. Okay, so there will be 7 root races which has to go through the phase. Now notice the number again is 7. Now within these 7 root races, there will be 7 sub races. Within each sub race, there will be 7 branch nations, which I did not write it down here because it got a bit too complicated. I didn't want to confuse you guys, but just know that within these nation, within one sub race, there is 7 branch races. 7 branch races make one sub race. 7 sub races make one root race, and 7 such root races will make one globe period. Now you can see here as denoted, not all, there is a considerable overlapping. It's not like the first root race, all people are done, all 7 sub races are done, kill everybody and then start the second root race. No, it doesn't happen that way. There is a considerable overlapping. At a given point of time, there will be, or there might be, more than one root race and sub race people coexisting and evolving together. So the first root race, second sub race will give rise to the second root race. The same way, the third sub-race of the second root race will give rise to the third root race. You can see the number 3 and 3 here are common. The same continues all the way down. So the fourth sub-race of the third root race gives rise to the fourth root race. The fifth sub-race of the fourth root race gives rise to the fifth root race. Sixth subrace of the fifth root race gives rise to the sixth root race, and the seventh subrace will give rise to the seventh root race. Now, where are we? We are in the fifth root race. We are here. Fifth, fourth, and fifth subraces is what we are in right now. But there are also people of the fourth root races, and very, very few, maybe not, because this book was written maybe 100 years back. Not maybe, it was written 100 years back, so maybe it has changed now. So they say that back then it was very, very few, maybe they have intermingled and probably perished. So each of these root races has a name, and the first root race name is not given, but although some other books I saw the reference as Polaris, which I'm not sure. Since it's not written in these two books, I'm not going to hold it as a fact. But the second root race is called as a Hyperborean race. The third root race was called the Lemurian. The fourth root race, we all know about this, the Atlantean, the Atlantis island, which was sunk and all those things, the story which goes with it. So the fourth root race was called the Atlantean. And the fifth root race, which we are in current now, is called the Aryan. Now, the word Aryan has a lot of racist connotations to it. Please don't consider, and also the word root race. It's not racist. In we are not using the term race here in the term of how we use it today. I'll get to that details later on. The rules, this book, as I said, was written long back, and back then it was completely okay to use the word race and subrace like that. So, so the authors didn't have any racist intentions before coining these words. It was just a word that they used. So. So right now we have probably people from fourth, most of the inhabitants of the earth, human inhabitants, belong to the fourth root race and the fifth root race until the fifth subrace. The sixth subrace is not yet developed, set up slowly. Right now in few parts of the world, the masters are working to set up the sixth subrace. From the sixth subrace, the sixth root race will be set up. Now, okay, we'll get into a little bit details of what these root races consisted of. In our pleasant globe period, the 7 root races are as follows. The first root race, called the etheric race, because the densest body possessed was a etheric body. No sub-races identified. This race is long disappeared from the earth. The sub-races identified, meaning not sure if it was present, and the authors were not able to investigate upon it. But it is just that they did not dig deep into finding, because most of this existence of the first root race was etheric race. That means they didn't have proper physical bodies. The second root race, this is the Hyperborean race. It had physical bodies and occupied a continent called Plaksha in the north of the globe. This race also disappeared from the earth. So this Plaksha is a term or the continent name that they have taken from the Hindu scriptures. Like I said earlier, see the Plaksha and the one more name they call here is Pushkara. Now, in the Hindu scriptures, I see that these globes here, as I said, the earth was called the Jambu Dvipa. There is Plaksha and Pushkara are also given the names for these globes. But But in some literature, it was interpretation from one Sanskrit scholar. I wasn't sure if it was an interpretation, if the interpretation is correct, or these globes have a different meaning. But what um, um, H.P. Blavatsky wrote in Secret Doctrine, she says that Plaksha was a continent on the Jambudvipa, where in the second root race or the Hyperborean race evolved. And I said they had physical bodies, and during this time the sexes was not separated. We are like, how you can imagine, like a seal, like a blob of mass, like, both the sexes were within the same body. We were like, going through reproduction was parthenogenesis. That means the same body had both the female and the male, or male sperms, and then that's how they reproduce. And half the time it was reproduction was just by breaking off a piece of your body, just like the bacteria and viruses do. The bacteria just break a piece of their own body, and they give up a piece of their DNA into the new cell, and they become two daughter cells. That's how they reproduce. And we were like that too. By the third root race, called the Lemurian race, occupied the continent of Lemuria or Shalmali. This was a large Pacific continent in the South Sea. The race is Negroid. Some of them still exist, but mixed with the offshoot of the later races. Now, here in the Lemurian races, the important thing happened was by the middle of the Lemurian races, the separation of the sexes took place. That means the female and the male body differentiated, and the kind of a precursor for the human beings were starting to develop. The Atlantean race, this is the fourth root race. This is the Atlantean race, inhabited the continent of Atlantis or Kusha, now disappeared beneath the Atlantic Ocean. Most of the present inhabitants of the earth today belong to this race. Now, there are many dvipas or islands, which is associated with the fourth root race. This is one of the widely or vastly developed races among all the previous races. Um, there are three islands which is associated to that. Atlantis is one general name they give, and Kusha and Daitya are the names given in the Hindu scriptures. And the third one was Posidonius, was the fourth island on which the fourth root race was evolving. They were called the Atlantean race. I will get into, if time permits, I'll get into a lot of details into this race. It seems like I'm running out of time. Okay, the fifth root race, this is the Aryan race, and included the advanced souls in the earth. Krauncha is the name given to the present land surface, which includes Europe, Asia, Africa, America, and Australia. Now, most of us belong to this race, which is the Krauncha is the Dvipa. Now, Krauncha is the continent on which we are developing. Now, Krauncha includes, as mentioned here, Europe, Asia, Africa, America, and Australia. The sixth root race has not yet come into being, though it will shortly appear. It is destined to occupy a new continent which has already begun to rise fragment by fragment in the Pacific. Now, this will happen where the current California is today. Now, there's going to be a big volcanic eruption, and the land is going to break off from there, and the whole part of what is California, Utah, part of Utah, Nevada, Washington State, all those things will be floated on to somewhere near where Hawaii is right now, or there will be a landmass getting lifted up from there. And that's where the sixth root race will be developed. The seventh root race, this race will follow the sixth and will be the last to appear on the earth on this round. Nothing is yet known of the continent it will inhabit, though the name Pushkara is sometimes given to it. Now, I will not get into details of the earlier races, but then I'll just give you a glimpse of the 7 sub races of the fourth Atlantean race. I told you there will be 7 sub races which make up the root race. The Romala, Talbati, Toltec, Turanian, Semitic, Akkadian, and Mongolian are the 7 sub races of the Atlantean race. The sub race of the fifth root race, or the Aryan race, is the first sub race was a Hindu, and Aryo-Semitic, Iranian, Celtic, Teutonic, only just commencing. This is not yet happened, and the seventh sub race is also not yet appeared. Now let's go back and visit a quick summary. So we have 7 branch nations making one subrace, 7 subraces making one root race, 7 root races means it completed one globe period. When 7 such globe periods are completed, we completed one round. When 7 such rounds are completed, we completed one chain. When 7 such chains are completed, one scheme of evolution. When 10 such schemes are done, it means our solar system. That means the sun is going to be alive until that point of time. Okay, any doubt here? This is a different representation of the same details I just now said. There is one scheme with 7 chains, and we are in the middle of the chain, the earth chain. You can see that we have come halfway through our chain and also halfway through our scheme of evolution, like 4 and then 4 again here, 4 rounds again here, and again the 4th chain and 4 rounds again here. So we are at exactly the half point of our evolution, you can see. So then we have 343 globe periods, 2401 root races, and 16807 sub races. You can see the 4th and 5th sub race that which we belong to. We might be either 4 or 5, we don't know. So that's where we stand right now. And this is the journey we have to go, and we have come through this journey. Now, one important thing which happened here was when 500 years back, when we almost reached the center point of our evolution, both for the scheme, for the chain, for the rounds, and in every aspect, we reached the 7th point. Until this point, any animals which are evolving, like right, say when we're somewhere in here, there were some pet animals which were very close to the human beings, and they were in the ready for individualization. They could have turned into human, and they would have been born somewhere close to their masters and kind of helped in their development. But somewhere around this point, which Blavatsky says 500 years back, the door was closed. Until that point, animals could have entered the chain, because we have come to the halfway point. If the animals come to the human forms right now, they don't have enough time to make the progress. It is just like saying, like the students come into the year, like like late students are welcome until, like say the year starts from June to May or something. Maybe until December we can let them come in, so maybe there is time to catch up. But if they come in January and February, and the final exams are in May, then there is no way they can catch up with the syllabus, right? And also there will be, since they don't understand and they are not evolved properly, there will be a create nuisance to the people who are already evolving. Like they might create wars, or they might be create unfavorable conditions for people already existing. So because when animal kingdom moves into the human kingdom, they are not very evolved. They are a little bit called savages, or primitive type of people, whose mental aspects have and emotional aspects have not been very well developed. Even if they are developed, they don't have control over it. Like just like animals, sometimes they bite, and they have fierce emotions. So that's why it takes a lot of taming of those emotions to become a proper human. So at this late stage, the door is closed and no more animals are coming in to our scheme. Now let's come to the judgment days. Like I gave the example earlier, so there will be judgment happening at every stage of our evolution to evaluate whether we have learned our lessons and we are ready to move forward. If we are not, we will be dropped out, and we will have to redo the class again whenever the next scheme of evolution or next favorable conditions are set up. Going back to the same example I gave you a little bit earlier, like say for example, you have a classroom where you have a teacher, and every day there will be 5 new students who come in, and the teacher has to get all these students to the level of where they can read chapter books. Now, to read chapter books, the first step is they need to start learning their alphabets and sounds, and then they move on to the sight words, and then they move on to the bob books, and then they move on to chapter books. Now the teacher is teaching every day, and and every day 5 new students keep on coming. But there will be a point wherein the new kids who are coming can make up by within the 10-month period of the school year. They will be able to catch up. But if the people who have come in and they are not paying attention in the class. Now the teacher is giving the syllabus to study, and they are the teacher is trying to teach them letters and alphabets and, like, words, sight words and bob books, and she's sitting with them putting all the effort and trying to teach them. But the kid is absolutely not interested. It's always interested in what other people are doing and partying around or looking for snacks or being disruptive in the class. Then he comes to somewhere near December, it's halfway through, and still he's not focusing. And the teacher gives a last warning, okay, fine, you have to put your act together and start focusing, otherwise, you're not going to make the grade. And come February, he's still not improved. What is the point of keeping such child in the class? Because there are other kids who are focusing, who are studying, and the teacher needs to move on and spend more time with them and can't focus on these kids. So what they do is they move them to a lower grade. They fail and take them out of that spot. That the same thing happens. Now, say for example, we are in the fourth root race,
Мама, я
and
слушаю. Пожалуйста, я буду сейчас задавать
okay,
вопрос.
so we are in the fourth root race, and then there are certain syllabus set for it. Now, for the fourth root race, the manas aspect was set. So the desire aspect was set, the karma. So people are not paying attention and developing that. What happens is they will fail that. They will have to be removed from that root race and wait for the fourth root race to come up in the next chain so that they can be moved over to the next chain, fourth root race. Now, say you come to the fifth root race, you fail there, then they wait for the next root race to be developed. The same way, the evaluations will happen at different points. Okay. Now, I want you to focus on this image here. You see this line which happens here, which is here in all the circles around. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth. In the fifth root race point, every fifth root race and a fifth round, you can see that it is a globe judgment days. So when we reach to this point and we have not catching up with our syllabus, or our spiritual growth is not yet up to the mark, we will be failed. And if we fail this globe period, then we have to wait for the next globe period to come around in here so we can join the group again. Now the failing can happen at even the root race or judgment days. In the first root race, you can fail and you can come back in the next root race, and you'll be given a little bit more time and more extra time and extra classes to catch up. So this 1, 2, 3, and 4 is a root race judgment periods, and the fifth is the globe judgment period, and the round judgment. Here you can see in the fifth globe, in the middle point at somewhere at the fourth root race point is the round period. So that means you come all the way here, you fail at this point, you cannot complete the round. You will be failed from that round, and you have to wait for the next round to come here, where more primitive peoples are coming back, and you will have to join your class again and retake the classes. So here you can see the important point happening here is a chain judgment. That means you did one round, two, three, four, and fifth. That means we are in the fourth round, right? In the fifth round, the chain judgment happens here. That means if you fail at this point, you can not complete the rest of the 3 rounds in here. You have to wait for the next chain only to come along so that you can proceed. What happens in between here? You enter into the internirvanic plane as a failed candidate, and you wait there until the next chain comes along. So this is not a hard set in stone dates. Sometimes the Manu decides, they decide to move the judgment days a little bit later or a little bit earlier, depending upon how the progress how the people are progressing. He is flexible with these dates. So it is estimated the total number of souls constituting the present human kingdom is estimated at some 60,000 million. This includes the physical, astral, and all other planes. It's not just 60 billion people are there on the planet today, but all the dead people who are in the astral plane and the Devachanic plane or the planes above, who are ready to be reincarnate again, together everybody is like 60 billion. Approximately 36 million or 36 billion will go on with the chain. Rest 24,000 will be suspended or moved. Actually, this is not just 24,000, 24,000 million actually, will be suspended or moved to another chain. The solar system is said to have life stretching in front of it for like less than 2000 million years. And right now we have completed 300 million years have said to have passed in the fourth round. I have 2 more minutes. I'll just quickly go through this Manus and the Lord of the Flames. So, who is a Manu? Manu is a generic term used for a class of directing intelligences of many different grades or ranks. Now, for all understanding purposes, Manu is like the master or the person who sets the tone of the root races or the chain or the globe period. There are different kind of manus. Okay, the manu who presides over the scheme of evolution is called the planetary chain logos, or the logos of the scheme of evolution. Working under him are 7 manus, each in charge of 7 individual chains called the chain manus. Now, working under him is a manus in charge of the evolution of one round known as the round manu. Working under him is a manu of the globe period. Working under him is the manu of the root race. Now, if we go back here, okay. So each of these globe periods will have a manu, and each of these, the chains, what we see here, each of these chains will have a manu called the planetary chain logos. Now there will be one manu for all the chains who will be the head, and under him will be the 7 chain manus, and under him will be the manu for each of these globe periods, and under the globe period manu will be the manu for the each root races. Like each of these boxes here will have one manu, and as a whole 7 root races there will be one manu. As a whole earth there will be one more manu, and as a whole there will be one more. So it is a well established hierarchy, and these people are not like our politicians. Okay, they are not fighting for power or anything. They are just volunteering, and they are doing a very great job of taking care of us. The Sanskrit word manvantara literally means the period between two manus, usually used to denote the period of one chain. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the seed manu directs the preparation for the transfer of huge population from one chain to the next chain. So the seed manu is the manu which comes who takes care of the souls in between the two chains. When there is a chain of pralaya, the seed manu is like takes the package from one chain is complete. It takes all the people for different grades, levels which they have passed or how much developments they have made. He classifies them, packs them away into the interchain nirvanic phase, and when the next chain is ready to be incorporated, as an based on their development they have made, he releases them one by one. The seed manu of the moon chain is chakshusha. The root manu of the earth chain is vaivasvata, not to be confused with the manu of the fifth root race by the same race. The root manu is a being from the fourth chain of the Venus scheme of evolution. Now, Vaivasvata manu is a very important figure for us, because we have two Vaivasvata manus. One of the root chain of the earth chain itself. The whole of the earth chain has a manu called as Vaivasvata, and coincidentally that the root manu of our fifth root race is also Vaivasvata manu. Now, as I mentioned earlier, whenever we do the Hindu pujas and we like invoke the god, we always invoke him also. We say Jambudvipe Vaivasvata Manvantare. Now, I don't know if we are invoking the root manu or we are doing the fifth root race manu, but either ways both have the same name, so I'm not clear. But the root race manu, Vaivasvata, he came from the Venus scheme of evolution. Okay.
Hi, Vidya.
Yes.
We're getting close. Actually,
Yeah.
we went past noontime already. Is it
We can take a
possible? Is it possible for us to ask you to come back in January and continue? Because there's lots of information that you are presenting, and we like to hear them
Yeah, sure,
to
we
the
can do
full
that.
extent. Actually,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah.
like to hear them a lot more. and possibly if people has question that they want to go
Yeah,
into
true. I
detail.
wanted to take a break and give people, open up the room for the audience to have questions or share their comments or feedback.
Yeah. So, if possible, is it okay with you to continue the
Yeah, we
presentation?
can do that. We can do actually there is a lot more. We can go in details of all the root races and how it is structured. Quite interesting information. If anybody or everybody is interested, I can definitely come back and we can do in January. Yeah.
No, definitely, most definitely. I mean, there's lots of information and it very helpful, especially with the illustration. So,
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And now let's open the room for questions or any feedbacks or any comments, please. Okay, nobody's talking either. I did a very bad job and did not make any sense.
Oh,
Or
you did a
very
very
good
good
job.
job. It's a lot of detail that we need to go to the most detail so that people can have a question. I love this presentation. I love it.
Yeah, Vidya, it was very informative. I mean, like,
Thank you. Oh, Sergi, if you're talking, you're on mute. I can't hear you. I don't know if he's talking. I see that he's talking, but
He
he's
tried
on
to
mute.
talk, but he put the wrong button. He
Yeah,
instead of
video button. Yeah.
use-
Okay.
So
Anybody else? Yes,
um,
John.
in one of your slides, you gave the number of bubbles in the various planes. Those are approximate numbers, right? You have 49, 49, 49 squared, 49 cubed, 49, the fourth power and all that.
Yeah, those are what? Come again?
Approximate number.
No, the structure, the building of the solar system numbers, like 1 and then 49, 49 to the power of 2, they are not approximate numbers. They are actual numbers.
Oh, I see.
They
Okay,
are defined numbers.
okay. That's all.
Okay. Okay, then I assume there's not much questions left.
Yeah, I guess there will be
We
more
can-
questions next time.
Thank you, Akka.
Sorry?
There will be more questions next time
Maybe, yeah.
when we digest what we've learned today.
Yeah.
yeah, even I saw this is like the second or third time. I mean, it's very hard to digest the material because it's quite abstract.
Yeah, it is.
And the number, especially the number, when we talk about millions and billions, your mind couldn't really grasp around it.
Definitely. Yeah, true.
So another point you made was that there are about 60 billion people, souls. And now the population of the world is about 7.2 billion or so.
Yeah.
That
Total,
means,
there are 60 billion.
so that means several out of this incarnation.
Yeah. They are in different planes.
The one question I have for you is, did the book Solar System, did they talk about the civilization like the Mayan civilization, the Egyptian civilization?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
it
then,
does gets into a lot of details about, it gets into detail about what food they eat and how the civilization was and how many times the Manu incarnated, and also it tracks about all the masters like Master Maurya and Kutumi, how they were born in the moon chain and their different incarnations. They track where they were born and all those things. It goes into a lot of nice details.
yeah.
Hi, Vidya. Thank you
Hey,
so
hi.
much for the presentation.
Thank
And
you.
I really enjoyed it. And I know you have put a lot of work into into this presentation. And one question, is there any way you can share the presentation with us? By any
Yeah, sure,
chance?
we can. I'll email it to Tred. Probably he can distribute it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I would love to
Oh,
go
yeah,
through
sure.
that
You're
again.
welcome.
Thanks.
Mhm.
And also, Vidya, can you show the name of the book so everybody can have chance to read it? And maybe for the next presentation, the people will have more questions for you.
Yeah, definitely. It's in the introduction I sent out, the solar system and the man, whence, how, and whither. Have the books here. This is the one of the books, and I don't know. This book is out of print from Adyar and also from Quest Books. I made a request to the Quest Books a couple of months back to get me one copy. They said even Adyar is not printing it and they are not able to get their hands on it. But luckily on Amazon, I found one rare prints edition. If you request them, I think they get you some of the books printed. So they had one or two books left, and I grabbed this from Amazon actually. And the other book was this one, the solar system book. This is in print in Adyar, and I think it is there in the Quest Books too. I think I saw it in the Quest Books. If you want to order.
And it's a thick book too.
Huh? Sorry.
It's a very thick one.
Oh yeah, it is. I know. I need like probably 3 classes to cover everything in detail what they have presented here. It's a lot of information. I didn't do even 1% justice to the topics that has been covered.
Okay, well,
Okay.
if there's no other question, I'd like to go ahead and close down this meeting, and then hoping to invite everyone back in January. We can continue this session again. I will go ahead and save this recording and upload to our YouTube channel and send it out, publish it so that everyone can review it if they don't have a chance to join earlier.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. Thanks,
Thanks,
Vidya.
everyone.
Thank you, Vidya.
Thank you, Vidya.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
Bye.
you,